Bay Area Compass. Located at BayAreaCompass.blogspot.com.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Don Julio giving that fire content. Once again, guys, I'm representing Bay Area Compass, and I'm with the legendary Gary Archer.
What's up, man? What's up?
Appreciate you coming through to the platform, man.
All right, man, I appreciate being here. You might want to turn me down a little bit because I talk really loud.
All right, no problem. We're going to get some wisdom being dropped today, get some gems for the people who haven't heard about you and the people who do obviously know you. So, Gary, I want to know, how do you feel about 2019 right now?
I feel like 2019 is an incredible time, unlike any other time in the history of the music business. Every day there's new ways and new things and creates new reasons to learn more, right? So the music industry at a big point kind of got stagnant, meaning you had to figure out with these set of rules. The good thing now is there's a lot of new rules being made every day, and it's just like it's still going to come down to what you actually want to do with it, right? Mm-hmm. But 2019 to me is incredible, all the way from the artists, the diversity of artists, the ability where the same sort of records no one likes turn up real big, but then the even give spaces for artists that normally would never have a shot, you know, different genres to actually be able to feed their family is incredible.
Exactly. And you're in a very interesting, predicament, because you came up with the legends like the Jacka, Fab, we can go on and on. But now you're also transitioning into this new era where, you got the rappers who have barely made a song and have more followers and clout than some of these legends. Do you look at this as, wow, these kids can get this opportunity that I didn't have when I was younger? Or do you look at it a different perspective as like, wow, these young cats don't really understand what they have going on for them right now?
It's OGs will say this no matter what we're talking about. They're always going to turn around and say, you guys don't understand how easy you really got it. Mm-hmm. You crying about the wrong things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And, all this it's coming from a real space. Of course we're jealous. Of course we're this. We're looking at it like, wow, imagine if we had. But guess what? We didn't. Mm-hmm. So all that don't matter, right? So what matters is I'm excited for any human being that starts to dream in his bedroom and creates himself a path to feed his family. I don't care if he's selling flowers. It's just incredible because the system in this world isn't set up for people like me and you to win. It's set up for us to go to work for somebody and, drive in traffic every day and hate your life, can't wait for the weekends. People that hate Mondays, I can promise you don't like your life. Monday's my favorite day. People like, Monday? Why you like Monday? I'm like, because everyone ain't tired of everyone yet. That's where I get the most business done. The music business, Monday music's for a reason. By Friday, any one position of power done heard so many lies and bullshit. They don't want to hear nothing. So a lot of people create their own opportunities and some sit around and piggyback, and I'm happy for whoever does what. Mm-hmm. I just know that you get what you put in it every time.
You get the energy you put out.
I mean, eventually it comes around. Sometimes you could be an asshole and run around for a little bit, but eventually that changes. Maybe you lose a step. Maybe your song isn't quite as hot, right? Some people, I want to say the majority of people take advantage when they kind of got the torch or about to get handed the torch. Some people get that and feel like I've been waiting for this moment. You know what I mean? You can tell someone's integrity when you give them a little power and money. Like everyone is honest to live, right? You know what I mean? Like as soon as someone comes out to survival mode, people in my neighborhood, we grew up surviving. And I didn't realize what life was until you got out of survival mode and now you're living. You can really make decisions, right?
Yeah.
So kids right now sitting around, both their parents work, and they're like, oh, but both my parents work. I'm like, yo, our parents were on drugs. Like real drugs, like didn't come home, no food. At least there's food and cable, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a different environment, and I'm not judging them. Hopefully they ain't judging us. My hype is sometimes I get frustrated when I look at these same people on Instagram or Facebook and they hit me up like, hey, I heard who you are. Can you help me? I'm like, yo, send me some music. And then they send me a song. I'm like, what else you got? That song's hot. And they're like, it's the only one I got. I'm like, it's the only one you got. I'm like, I thought you said you do music.
Yeah.
He's like, yep. How long you been doing music? About 2 years. But you got one song.
Doesn't make sense.
I'm like, if I'm a writer, I'm writing. And that's before these studios. We from the era where you just couldn't have an idea and record a record. It was done on tape. It cost $300 just for the tape.
Oof.
back in the 80s and 90s, and the studio time was $80 an hour from some rock studio. Oof. No one had no hip hop, so we basically didn't have songs until later. So we were writing records and rapping over other people's beats. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of people from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s could write their raps to anyone's record and then go in and change it to the new record. Yeah. Nowadays, people are like, oh, let me get the beat, let me sit on it.
Yeah, let me get the sample.
I mean, I'm sitting in the studio with these guys that are supposed to be incredible, and they look lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're looking for inspiration in the room, and my hype is like, it's like when they say when you're in the playoffs, the coach shouldn't have to inspire you to go play the game right now. Like, the studio should be your playground. You walk in here, you should be so pumped. Mm-hmm. You should be showing me like, bro, I could dunk, I could dribble, I could pass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Incredibleness. Like, I'm just saying, like, anyone could pull something off great once. Mm-hmm. Then it's still relative. Yeah. Good's only relative to the person that's involved or someone that's, it's all relative.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And people got to quit worrying about, do people like my music, and worry more about, do they like you?
Mm-hmm. I think what we can do with this topic right now, I wanted to transition into this topic. So the words on your hat right now say clout. And an example I want to talk about clout, I'm sure you've heard about the Tekashi 6ix9ine incident.
Absolutely.
An example of somebody who kind of got lost in the sauce, who kind of bit off a little bit more than they can chew because they were, pretty much living this life, and now they're stuck on the stand snitching on his old gang members. What kind of warning can you give to some of these kids who are kind of doing the same thing Tekashi 6ix9ine is doing, and like some of the consequences that can come from that?
Well, one, I got to blame the parents. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of parents right now that don't understand the meaning of being parents. Mm-hmm. So just because you're paying for food and room and board don't mean your parents supposed to be raising these children to understand what this world is, consequences, laws. So then if they're breaking them, it's they own movement, right? So a lot of these parents are helicopter parents, umbrella parents. Kids ain't never even walked to school before. Like, they got to be picked up, dropped off, and then they expect kids to be 19 and go into school and become some incredibly responsible person when they never had to make no decisions. Yeah. And the same thing happens with music. You're in a neighborhood where maybe you're an outcast, but you do music, so all of a sudden people start liking you, and you've never felt this before. So it's kind of like falling in love. You got to understand, popularity is a crazy thing. And then people, like, there's peace like jail, meaning they could see what you're going through, like a pimp does to a lady that's going through something bad. Pick out and know how to fill that void and get you to join the gang or get you to join the movement, get you to rob the bank, get you to hold the gun. Like, it don't just got to be music. Someone's trying to act like, oh, are you down or are you not? And I just know from my experience, anyone that says that attached to something negative, you don't want to be down with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't care how good it feels right then, because you're going to be by yourself. Like, Tekashi started off being like, oh, this is fun, but then they started extorting this dude. You know what I mean? So then halfway through that, he tried to get out of that. So, like, that's what people don't understand. This is real life. This ain't an Instagram beef. Like, this like show up at your mama house. I kidnap your grandma stuff. Like, the dope era stuff. Like, I'm from the dope era. Like, this, like, keys of cocaine is sitting there and it's just music. Like, dude, they'll come grab somebody. You take $10,000 from somebody and don't come through, like, they're killing you. They're going to kill you. You see what happened to Messi Marvin Reno?
I did not see it, but I can assume nothing good.
I mean, just this is what it is. You don't make promises with people that have money. People have money. They're usually powerful, usually. And, and so just understand that you really want to create your own lane, create your own audience, so you don't got to jump on no one's show. It's great to be in circles with a lot of people, but that don't mean you got to lock arms and then to the death. Unless you came up with them, then that's one thing. Or everyone's bringing something to the team. But at the end of the day, just because they're more popular than you, just because of that is not a reason to fall in love with the situation. And a lot of kids now are just want to be the most popular kid in their neighborhood, and then the most popular kid in their school. And then now that the Instagram and all that's popping, now you see the way people post to be more popular than anyone out there their age. And when I was growing up, it wasn't about that. It was really about being as fresh as you could be, being a player, like really, really trying to do some amazing things, and not being scared to give it up to the next man or the next girl, like, yo, that's a dope coat. Oh, that's sweet right there. And nowadays kids be like, "Oh, that's phony, bro. Where'd you get that phony?"
Yeah.
Like they feel like, you know, that they got to put something down for them to be good. So like, and they're used to hearing that. So anytime a situation come to them, like the biggest, like, look at Nipsey Hussle. You know what I mean? He from the streets, but Big U came and said, I'm the biggest Crip. You rolling with me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, some people don't play by the same rules, is what I'm saying. This dope game, this rap game, this real gangster street gang.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
I think a lot of the reason behind some of these artists getting their music out there that don't tend to necessarily have all this talent is because the people who are consuming this music are like suburban kids, or like, you know, kids that are age range from like probably like 12 to like 20s, that don't really care about any of these rules, gang affiliation, what's right and what's wrong, and they can consume it on just, you know, all these easy platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. So when you're not getting any consequences really besides the law, in the public's eye, everything goes pretty much right now.
No, I mean, absolutely, and that's why Tekashi's gonna have a hard time when he gets out of jail. Like he just got a record deal, I heard, for $10 million in jail.
I heard about that too.
So like they know R. Kelly's still selling records.
Oh yeah.
And he's in jail for rape, right? Like so,
Yeah.
It's like, consider the situation. You got people that just like, oh, I'm not gonna say nothing till it's official. I'm like, bro, just those type of allegations makes me to put my distance between us.
Exactly.
I'm not convicted no one. I'm just saying that if you start seeing the way history treats their legends, or the people that they admire, they can't do no wrong.
Exactly.
It's like your mom or dad or your grandpa or something like that. You
like
treat
Michael
them like
Jackson.
hero. Yeah, Michael Jackson. Like, come on, I didn't believe that.
I don't believe it still.
I'm like, man, they shouldn't have had them kids up over there. Like, if they was
Exactly.
tripping, like that's so all these things that you build in protection for your heroes, right? So like nothing worse than something that you were involved with, especially since the beginning, and then all of a sudden it turns into something incredible, and then they just pull it from you because it comes back to then I was part of something.
Yeah.
You're not going to take this from me. And the same thing is like you said, you get caught up with the wrong group or wrong this and that. It's the same feeling. I'm part of it, but I ain't part of it. And like, yo, they're like, I'm still making my money. And I'm just saying, if it's just about the money, then say it.
Yeah.
Say it. Don't trick people into believing these things. And back in the day when you did rap music, you had to really be that. There wasn't like
Fake persona.
like they were on Vanilla Ice's head. And he didn't even act like he was gangster. They were just like, bro, you're not urban like that. And now you could say you're a Martian and like for real, and they're gonna believe you. And you know what I mean? I'm trisexual and whatever you want to say. And it's like, okay, even though you're lying.
Yeah.
So my hype is hip hop is set up for people to be who they are. No switching. You could come as you are, basically. No dress code is what hip hop is.
Yeah.
But you can't start biting other things to get attention. And that's what this phone did. This smartphone kind of put people in position
To just bite off of each other.
because they also know how big the tech universe is. So I could bite off this person and no one probably knows this dude. So there's just been plagiarism from day one. People used to write their reports from the encyclopedia. They used to hear a record from New York and act like they wrote it down, and they'd be at high school saying it when it came out. Like music before, you had to listen to in groups. So that's why it was so authentic. Like everyone didn't have the new Ice Cube record, bro. It was on vinyl, and who had a record player, and we all had to gather after school.
You had to put the effort in to get the music.
To get it and then to listen to it, because you couldn't carry it with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Walkmans come out and you're like, yo, who's making the tapes? I need some music.
Yeah.
That's the only time when Walkmans came out, it was the only time anyone ever listened to music by themselves. It's like music, like people don't understand. That's why people like music, but they don't love music like they
don't
did.
Appreciate it.
Well, because it's not tangible to them. They ain't never touched it. They ain't never seen it. It's just here. It's just I like to talk about music in life. Music's the soundtrack to life. And whether you're an artist, a host, or I make sandwiches. The sandwiches would be my soundtrack if I made sandwiches. I couldn't get so caught up into the sandwiches. My sandwiches had to be great. What I had to do is I need to go show them the movie. And if I show you the movie and you love the movie, you'll buy every piece of the soundtrack, whether it's sandwiches, whether it's interviews, whether it's music, because they love the movie. And that's what people started understanding and said, fuck it, I'm going to make a fake movie. I'm just no one know me. So I could pretend to be this. I could be this. And I'm just saying, to each his own. I just don't roll with people like that, and I just know there's a lot of consequences. Me and I'm Mac Dre and the Diz Nation and Crest. Like, we have hundreds of people in federal penitentiary on indictments because they just didn't want to tell on nobody. They didn't do no crimes. Like, people forget Mac Dre did 5 years in jail just for not telling. They said he knew, but if he just said he was going to a girl house, they would let him out of jail. And he's like, I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do nothing.
It's the code.
And nowadays it's like no one wants to fess up to when they wrong. I'm from the era where, like, you cannot throw a rock and hide your hand. You could throw a rock and get away with it. But when they say who threw the rock, you gotta put your hand up. Be a man about this. You know what I mean? And that's the ethics of this. So many OGs that passed it on to me is dead, and a lot of my generation didn't listen, so they in jail. So now these phones are raising these kids. They're watching Netflix and YouTube. And
they're getting mentors from online.
And so it could work for your advantage and against, and totally worse, right? So, like, being this, with back to what I said about parents not being parents, explaining the two, like, my hype is people say they're not successful, but they watch every show on Netflix. And I'm like, that's why. Like, you're not dedicating anything to anything else. The world knows success is a check you got to write every day. Every day you got to write that check. And the only way to get that check is work for it, right? So you got to consider, what do I want to do, right? And that's some people are willing to go to jail forever to be hot for 2 years. Right?
Sad. Because
they don't understand the value of life. You know, if you don't understand the value of life or an education, you can't be mad when they don't understand it. Because it's our fault for not teaching them that. Like, I teach a class at the youth center in Oakland, Youth Uprising. Our biggest thing is to know it's possible. You know, it's a dream class, and my hype is no one even told anyone that they're allowed to dream no more.
Yeah.
You know, you crazy. It ain't never gonna happen.
Exactly.
Huh? For you. You know, so when you get caught up in everyone telling you what you can't do, back to what you said before, when someone says you can, you might just jump in the wrong car. You know what I mean? Like if you're getting picked on at school every day, and all of a sudden Monday come around and you getting picked on, and four dudes walk up like, you ain't gonna touch Gary again. You're like, ooh, these are my homies.
For real.
Right? So, like, sometimes you get caught up with the wrong gang with the wrong intent, but it's for the right reason. Because you don't understand the consequence. And that's the thing, is every book got a beginning and an end, right? That's it. Every funeral got 2 dates on it. And people are worried about the 2 dates, the born and the death. But really the most important part of the whole thing is the dash.
Exactly.
The dash.
Do the dash.
What happens in the dash in between those two?
Exactly.
Right? And and people look for the great giant event in their life to make it happen. It's
They're hoping that it comes, and sometimes it never does.
It's a whole bunch of little events that add up to things. Like before you even think you could be in the NBA, you better play basketball a couple times.
What you were saying about that, I'm like, some people, for example, you saw that Damian Lillard shot that messed up OKC's record. Some people are saying that his shot is what ruined OKC to get rid of Russell Westbrook and everything. But no, it's the training, it's the high school, it's the whole process, it's the scoring, all the 47 points he made before that. It's a process. But people always like to look at the last thing someone's done and say that was their defining moment. So, you know,
and then I try to tell people, in order to get the defining moment, people had to trust you. And a lot smaller things. It's kind of like if you have a child and you start letting them, you trust a little bit at a time before you let them just go run the world with their partners. You know what I mean? Hopefully, you know, at least me, that's the way with what I do. And it's very sad out there. There's really no guidelines. There's no one to, there's no neighbors walking outside going, Kevin, what are you doing? Get back, man, you can't. Yeah. Ain't none of that.
I know.
Kids is cussing their parents out, and it's crazy to me. Like,
it's messed up, bro.
And a parent, there's some good parents out there, and they try, and next thing you know, they're in jail because they grabbed their son by the arm when he's telling everyone F you at the dinner table, flipping plates over, and now the family can't eat, and the parents came and buy more food, but we supposed to what? So I'm just saying, like I understand why there's a lot of reasons. It's a lot of economical problems going on out here, and people are pretending like everyone's the same. Besides, people think it's real rich and everyone else is the same, but there's a big difference between the people in my neighborhood and the people in the middle class neighborhood in Menlo Park, or even right here in Livermore, or anywhere. Like, you understand, like, middle class don't mean the same. Middle class means you're not hella rich and you're not poverty poor.
Yeah.
And I don't mean poverty poor for California. I mean poverty poor for the country.
Yeah.
So if you make more than $12,000 a year, they consider you middle class.
Whoa.
All the way up to you make over $1 million. So, like, at the end of the day is, like, without even understanding, that's why people jump into situations. That's why Tekashi did that. Tekashi was already growing up and he was already picked on from being different. And he's like, yo, I'm rolling with these dudes. Yeah. And so then by doing that, they're telling him, oh, now I'm gonna pimp you and get this much off each show. And he said no. And then they said, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it tumbled down, like, right?
I mean, this was the only scenario that was, pretty realistic, because you can't just leave a gang, especially when they're extorting you and you're providing them with all these resources. It's like, what happens when you stop feeding the dogs?
Absolutely.
But anyway, let's get further into it. Let's talk about, is it pronounced Gaugr?
Yeah, Gaugr.
Yeah, let's talk about Gaugr. Let's shout out some people you want to shout out, talk about some projects you want to drop. We got like 5 more minutes.
No doubt.
People are going to come in, so let's talk about that.
All right, well, first let me shout out, rest in peace Mac Dre, rest in peace Jacka, rest in peace Johnny Cash. Shout out everyone over at the Diz camp, They believed in this white boy, and we were able to take over the world lightweight. And it would have been a lot bigger with my Cuddy here, and hopefully we're making them proud by still staying alive, doing our thing. And, and that's so serious, shout out Mac Wanda, shout out Mama Jack, Mama Johnny Cash, R.I.P. Chemo, shout out my wife D-Ray, super, super dopest photographer in the game, legendary in her own right. Shout out anyone that's ever came to me and asked me a question. That means you trusted me, and I appreciate that. And I just know I'm always willing to be wrong if I could be right someday. So I would never lie to no one about anything, and I'm just glad to be in that position. So this Gaugr thing, let me talk about that real fast. Gaugr is basically the evolution of the like button. I didn't like the information the like button was giving out, or by me participating and using it, it was too general. So to make an easy scenario, let's consider Pandora. I'm listening to a song. I got a choice. Do I like it or don't like it? Now, if I click I like it, now means it goes into my list of songs I like. Now, Pandora don't know what I liked about it, how much I liked what about it, and they don't know if I kind of like the song or if it was my favorite song.
Gotcha.
So they have no way of that song gets played just as much as my favorite song, just because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So coming back to now music situation, YouTube come out, you get 1 million views, 10,000 likes. As someone that owns a record label, I'm like, yo, there's money to be made there.
Got you. And that's kind of where the name comes from. You kind of gauge how much the audience member is.
Don't just like it, gauge it. It's our moniker, one of our trademarks. So then I'm like, yo, how do we, this should be money. And I'm like, but if I don't know what they liked about it, how do I even know how to repeat it?
Gotcha.
So then I'm like, yo, the only way to take it a step further is people got to type for comments. And I'm like, how do I make it easier? So then we created this gauge where we swipe, don't type. So now there's no typing, it's swiping.
Okay.
And then I take, like, for instance, I take a minimum of 4 categories. So you listen to a song, it'll say beat, it'll say lyrics, hook, and then hit potential. So as you listen in, you're slide barring how much I like the beat, how much I like the lyrics.
Gotcha.
So
it's like a percentage.
0 to 100. Okay. So not stars. So I'm touching it actually. So it's really coming. And I got an overall gauge, but then it also breaks down what I could work on.
Gotcha.
Maybe I got good lyrics and hooks, but maybe I can't pick beats. But it says 70 up there, so I'm without knowing that they like it. And I'm like, no, I could work on the beat. Think of the same concept if I'm McDonald's or if I'm Uber or if I'm Yelp. You know what I mean? Of this nature, instead of the star system or this feedback where I necessarily have to type, I make it easy for the average person to give you feedback. So the gauge is fully customizable. We have an app. It's free for musicians called Gaugr, Gaugr. Download it in any app store. And if you could be an influencer, an artist, anything, make yourself a profile, upload your music and share it on any other platform. And we also got the Uber of feedback on there. So if you're a music artist and you're trying to get a hold of some big old DJ or someone like Sway, man, on next to your content, there's a rocket ship, you hit it, and then it's like calling an Uber. It's the Uber of feedback. Pick Sway, boom. Next you know, Sway listens to your record and engages you with the technology. And then you get it and you can share it and all that fun stuff. So that's where we started to prove it is in the music. But now, next month, we got a new update on the app where we're bringing in restaurants. While we're working out these deals with Ubers and Lyfts and Hulus and all these other things, we're going to drop our restaurant gauge and our cannabis gauge. So it's basically going to be strains and as well as cannabis clubs, things of that sort of thing. Where instead of now me having to type, I'm actually gauging my experience.
It's a lot. So pretty much, it's an app that makes reviewing things, such as like restaurants or things like that, or music, as you were explaining better than I can, in an easier way,
Because I built my technology to get the biggest DJ to give me feedback.
Yeah.
I got this. So when I had to send people records, I could call them on the phone a lot, and we talk 5-10 minutes. But if I send you a song through the email, you're not going to type 5-10 minute paragraphs.
Exactly.
So I'm like, how do I make it easy for the important person to talk to me? Oh, I know. Let's pick what's important in the song, and let's have them swipe it. So that's where the whole concept came from. Make it easy for Sway Calloway to give me feedback.
Okay.
Make it easy for Rick Lee or Big Von to give me feedback.
Got you.
Because they're not going to type it. You know what I mean? And it's not about, I like your song, because I can't plan a business on you like my song. I could plan a business on saying you like my beat 98, my lyrics this and that. I know how to plan and prepare for that. So I just want to give and also even out the playing field a little bit for artists that think that, if I could talk to him, I'd be there.
Yeah.
But it's still going to come down to work, like I said,
Yeah.
And if I could leave one last thing that I could say, man, I know a lot of people get into the entertainment business and they say, I don't want to be famous, I just want to be rich. I'm just want to tell you, I'm sorry to say, without one, there's not another in this business. It's impossible to get rich in the music business as being a star if no one knows who you are. So just know that. Don't wait for the nighttime to show people you're a star. So don't wait till you're on the biggest stage to prove it. Prove it in a room with 2 people. Start it with yourself every day. Carry yourself like one. Treat people amazing, and you'll be so astonished on what the world brings to you. It's so amazing for me. Just be kind to people, please. No matter what you're going through, people are going through it too. And I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Thank you, Legendary Gary. Make sure you guys check out the Gaugr app. Make sure you follow Legendary Gary on all his socials. And it's your boy Don Julio, and I am out. Peace, y'all.